Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis, 3 lines from the top. The Gemara had previously told us that the Bnei Yehuda remembered their learning. Why? One reason is because they're precise in the language that their teachers taught them in. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Abba, I'ika demashilu b'lemei Yehuda, the daik lishna. If you would ask the Bnei Yehuda who are precise in language, in their teachings, in their wording, ma'abrin tnan or ma'abrin tan, is our Mishnah with an aleph or with an ayin? Akuzoi tnan or akuzoi tnan? Is it akuzoi or akuzoi with an aleph or with an ayin? Here it's referring to the fact that an animal, if it's missing one of the beitzim, is a mum and cannot be offered as a carbon. So Rabbi Akiva had a method that it would sit on its bottom in order to then have the beitzim protrude to make sure that it has both beitzim. If it's missing one, then it cannot be used as a carbon. So there's a lashon of akuzoi with an aleph or akuzoi with an ayin, and it's unclear what is the correct wording. Yod they would know the answer to these questions. Shalinu, they asked the Bnei Yehuda. Va'amrei le, they said to him, Ika detani ma'abrin v'ika detani ma'abrin. There are those who teach ma'abrin with an aleph and those who teach it with an ayin. They're both valid traditions. Ika detani akuzoi v'ika detani akuzoi. Some teach it with an aleph and teach it with an ayin. Again, those are both valid misaros. Bnei Yehuda dedaike lishna mahi. The Bnei Yehuda would be an example how they were medaik in their lashon. De'ahu bar Yehuda da'amar lahu, that there was a bar Yehuda who said to people, Talis yeshli limkor, I have a talis to sell. Omrule, they said to him, My gavan talischa, what is the colors of your talis, of your beged? Omar lahu, kitradin ale adama. He explained it as the beets that are on top of the ground. In other words, he didn't want to say it's yaroik, because yaroik can have the connotation not just green but yellow. So he described the exact coloring based on the beets that grow and are on top of the ground, the tops of the beets, which is a greenish type of color. Bnei Galil deloy daiki lishna. In contrast, the Bnei Galil who are not precise in their language, Mahi, what would be an example of that? De'ahu bar Galilo dahaveka oziv amaluhu. A bar Galil was walking and he said to the people, Amar la man, Amar leman. To whom is there Amar? To whom is there Amar? Omrule Galila shoite. They said to him that he's a fool. Chamar lemirkav or chamar lemishti. Is it a donkey to ride on, or is it wine to drink? Amar lemilbash or imar leiskasoy. Is it wool to wear as clothing, or is it a lamb to shecht? In other words, the word amar can be then stated in a different way. It's not clear what he meant to ask for. There was a woman who also was speaking to a friend, and she also did not have a clear language. She said, come and I will feed you chelev, fats. Amra la, she said to her, shluchti. Instead of saying shluvti, my friend, she said shluchti, some sort of uninterpretable word. Tuchlich lavya. I will feed you to the lion. So instead of saying toy de uchlich chelba, she said tuchlich lavaya. There was a woman who came before a judge in order to make a complaint about a certain theft that was taking place. Somebody stole from her a heavy type of object. Amrole, she said to the dayan, Mori Kiri, my master, she said, my servant. Instead of Kiri with a kuf, she pronounced the Kiri with a kaf, which means my servant. Instead of saying what she wanted to say, that a tavla havasli, I had a tablet. She said tafla havasli, I had a board. Instead of saying that it was stolen from me, she says ugravuch min, referring to the dayan who was stolen. The stolen dayan was from me. He was stolen from me. Instead of saying how heavy it was, how big it was, she said uchdu havos, meaning and now it was. Dekad shadru loch ilave. She was explaining, trying to describe to him the heaviness of this tablet that was stolen. And she said, when they hang you, talking to the dayan, lo mati karech aaro, your legs will then not reach the ground. That's how heavy it was. She's trying to describe in an inaccurate, inappropriate type of way. Amosa de Bei Rebbe, the Amo, the maidservant in the house of Rebbe, when the Rebbe would have his students come to the house to eat, so she would speak in a language that would be only a remez to the students, as follows: Ki havas mishtoi beloshen chochma. When she wanted to speak to them, she would speak to them in the language of ramozim, of chochma. And amra hachi, she would say the following: if she wanted them to leave, she would say, Ales Eles nokfas bekad, the ladle is hitting the bottom of the barrel. Yidu nishra likinehoin, the eagle should fly back to its nest as a hint to the Talmidim that's time to leave. V'kad hava boilim nispun me'ava, when she would want them to remain, she would say another type of remez. Amru lahu, ya'adi bosar chaverta mino, take a piece, referring to a stopper of another kad, of another barrel. V'tikfei eles bekad ki ilfa da'azla biyama, and float it on top of the kad of the barrel, just like a ship that's going out to the water. Rabbi Yossi bar Asyan ki have mishtoi beloshen chochma. Rabbi Yossi bar Asyan, when he would use a language of chochma, so that other people should not understand his wording, Omar, he would say, Asuli shor mishpat betur miskin, make for me a ox in judgment, a mountain that is poor. So Rashi explains over here, shor mishpat, tradin, it's referring to tradin beats, because tur dain, the word tradin is a combination of two words, tur, which refers to an ox, and dain, this. Betur miskein, Rashi says, a poor mountain. Har dal is a reference to char dal. So what he was saying was, give me beets, prepare me beets with mustard. Says the Gemara weiter, V'kad have a shoyil bu'ushbiza, when he would ask about the well-being of the innkeepers, both the man and the woman, Omar Hachi would say like this, Givar pum bein chai. Here says Rashi, Meshal bu'ushbiza shol oivrei drachim be'inyan ushbizichnu, to find out about the innkeepers. Govar pum bein chai, says Rashi, ush pi zuchai. Ush, govar, is referring to an ish, a person. Ushpiza, we're talking about the word ushpiza, and if you break down the consonants, the vowel, the way it's pronounced, it's ush, pi, and zo. Ush refers to a gvar, a person, and that's what he said, gvar. Pi is a mouth, and zu is ze, this. Is it chai, meaning how's the well-being? Are they alive? How are they doing? Mazu toiva yesh loy. What are their well-beings? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Abo ki hava mishtoi beloshin chachma. Rabbi Abo would use a loshin of chachma also, of hinting. Hava Amar Hachi would say the following: Atrigu lepecham. He didn't want people to hear what exactly he meant when it comes to preparation of food. So he said, prepare the coals like the esroig. It should glow like an esroig. Arkiu lezahavin, spread out like golden pieces. Va'asu lishnei magidei ba'alta, and prepare for me 2 magidei of the dark, referring to roosters who had to make noise to people who are still in the dark. Ike da'amri, those that say v'yasu liban shnei magidei ba'alta. that they prepare for me 2 magidei, referring to again the roosters in the dark. It's not clear to me exactly what is the Iked Amrei saying different. Amru lei Rabbanon Rabbi Abohu. Rabbanon said to Rabbi Abohu, Hatzpinun ninu heichan Rabbi Eloi tzafun. Show us where's Rabbi Eloi hiding. Omar lehen, he said to them, Olatz bane'ara. He's rejoicing with his new wife, with a young woman, Aharonis, who is from the tribe of Aaron, referring to the Kuhuna. Aharonis, she is the latter, from the latter one, came after the previous wife who passed away. Aaronis, she is somebody who's lively, Vihina Erito, and she kept him up late at night the night before. Amru Isha. Some say this is referring to his wife, a new wife. However, Va'amrei la Masechta. Others say it's referring to the Masechta. By the way, we say Eishes Chayil, and Eishes Chayil is a mashal for the Torah. So here we're talking about a Masechta, to which it's explained that the Masechta is a Na'ara. She's called a Isha, a Na'ara, a young lady. Aharoinis, he was learning something from that had to do with the Kahuna, like the Korbanos Kachim. Achroinis, he finished a previous Masechta and he began a new one. Eironis, it kept him challenged and as he was analyzing it. Vini Artu, and they kept him awake as he was learning it. Says the Gemara Vayter, Amr Leila Rabbi Eloi. This time they asked Rabbi Eloi, Hatzpinunu, Heichen Rabbi Abohu Tzafun. Show us where is Rabbi Abohu hiding. Omar lehen, he said to him, Nisyais me machtir. He took counsel with the Nasi, he's referring to the one who's machtir. He's giving the ones the title of Rebbe, he gives them smicha. He took counsel with him and he asked him if he can go ahead and visit the sages to learn from them in the south. Vihin give lemifiboshes. And he went down to the south to the Mifiboshes, is a reference to a great sage. Like the teacher of David HaMelech was Fiboshes, and therefore that's where he went, and that's where he's, so to speak, hiding. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Chananim Yoma lo nitzchani Adam. Never did a person then overcome me with debate. In other words, Rabbi Yoshua ben Chanani was known as being a great orator, and therefore he always defeated his opponents in a debate. He says, nobody then won over me, chutz me'isha, tinoik, v'tinoikes. With the exception of these three, with their language, they won out over me. Says the Gemara to explain, Isha Maihi, what is the case of the Isha that then won over Rav Yoshua ben Chananya? Pam achas nisarachti eitzel achsanya achas. One time I was a guest in a certain hostess. Asasali pulin, she made for me beans. B'yoyim rishon achalti v'lo shialti mehem kulum. The first day I ate all of him. I didn't leave anything over. Shniya v'lo shiarti mehem kulum. The second day she prepared me these beans. I ate all of it and none was left over. B'yoyim shlishi hikdechasan b'melach. They were burnt. She burnt them, meaning she oversalted them. Kevan shita'amti mashachti yadi mehen. When I started eating them, I tasted them, I stopped, I desisted from eating it further because they were burnt, they had too much salt. Omrali, she said to me, my hostess, Rebbe, why aren't you eating? Omarti lo, I said to her, Kavar sa'arti mi boyd yoim, I already ate earlier and therefore I'm full. He was trying to give her an excuse. Omrali, she said to me, Haya l'chalim shach yadecha min hapas, you shouldn't have eaten too much bread. Omrali, she said, Rebbe Shema lo hanachta peya barishonim. Maybe you did not leave over. Peya literally means the corners. It refers to part of the dish. Maybe you didn't leave some of it over. In other words, the first 2 times that you ate, you finished everything up. You didn't leave it over. And the minhag is for the guest to eat, but to leave over for the one who is serving him. V'lo kach amru chum, did the chum not state? Ein mashayrin peya be'ilfas, ava mashayrin peya be'ka'ara. That the one who is serving then pours all of that which is in the pot into the plate, the serving plate, and then the one who is eating, he should leave over from the serving plate. And therefore, since you didn't do that, the hostess was being merames to him, you didn't act properly. Tinoikes mai, what's the case of the tinoikes? The tinoikes, pa'amachas hayisi mahalach baderech. One time, Rabbi Shua ben Chananya says, I was traveling. V'haisa derech oiveres besodeh. And the derech that I was going on passed over a field. V'hayisi mahalach bo. And I started then walking on that field as part of the derech. Omroli, tinoikes achas, a tinoikes said to me, Rebbe, lo sada hizu, is this not a field? In other words, it's private property. Omarti lo loy derech kavushahi, is it not a field that has been trodden, therefore it's a public thoroughfare as well? Omroli, she said back to me, listim kamoischa kavshua, it's thieves like yourselves who make it trodden. And therefore, that's why it looks like it's a public thoroughfare, because people who are not supposed to trespass are walking in the field just like yourself. Tinoik maihi. What is the case where the tinoik was menatseach over Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya? Pam achas hayisi bal halach baderech. One time I was traveling on the road. V'ra'isi tinoik yoshev al parshas drochim. And I saw a child who was sitting on the crossroads. So I asked him, Be'eze derech nelech le'ir, which is the way to go to the city? Omar li, he said to me, Zu ktsaro ve'aruka, ve'zu aruka ve'ksar. This is the short and the long, and that's the long and the short. Ve'olachti be'ktsar ve'aruka. I went on the short and the long. Once I got to the city, which was a short path, motzati shemekifin oisa ganois upardesim. I saw that it was leading to then all types of gardens and vineyards and fields and orchards. Chazarti la'achar. I went back. Omarti, I said to the tinoik, Beni, halo amarta li kitzara. Didn't you tell me that this is the short path? Omar li, he said to me, V'lo amarti lecha aruka. Did I not say that it's also long? It means it's short to get there, but it's long-winded afterwards. Nashaktiv al roishoy, I kissed him on his head. V'amarti, and I said to him, Ashreichem Yisrael. Fortunate are you, Klal Yisrael. Shekulchem chachom, all of you are wise. Gedolim atem, migdolchem ve'ad ketanchem. From big into small, all of you are wise men.